Hey, good morning. Welcome to Your Shorts Prepping. I'm your host, Greg. I want to talk to you about some international news that the press, the corrupt press, is not making very much noise about, but it's going to directly affect the United States very quickly. Cuba is about to fall. 45 years of communism is about to come to an end. The economic hardships being imposed upon the Cuban people is about to take its toll on this regime. And right now, Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, is in talks with the grandson of Raul Castro, the communist dictator, about how to turn over Cuba to become a free and independent nation. Apparently, the talks are how to get Castro and his cronies out of the nation with something in their pocket. In other words, stealing all the aid money that has been sent there by the United Nations and other countries so he can flee to the Soviet Union or whatever other country will have him so he can live out his life in luxury while the rest of the people live in poverty. The grandson is talking to Marco Rubio and saying, let's negotiate this, let's negotiate that. In the meantime, this communist regime has turned off the internet. They have limited food, water, and power. They are lying to the people on a daily basis. And the hardliners inside Cuba are saying, okay, fine. We know we don't have the military to stand up to the United States. However, we will do what Castro did during the 80s, and that's the 70s, during the Muriel boat lift, unleash boatloads of Cubans that are criminals, have mental or physical health deficiencies, and send them to Florida as a retaliatory, and then engage in a guerrilla type warfare, which they did to take over the country. In the meantime, the people are saying, wait a minute, the garbage is now 6 feet high out in our streets because the garbage trucks had no gasoline to pick it up. Their average monthly wage is $12 a month, and a carton of eggs costs $12, so you're not doing anything. But this is what the communist regime does, and the socialists say and do to get people on their side that are unhappy with the current government. They make all these promises, enslave you, and then lie to you and say, wait a minute, you really don't need that 4-bedroom house when you can make do with a 2-bedroom house. Or you can have 4 bedrooms, but you're going to take in 2 other families to live in your house to share those bedrooms. That's what socialism does. They lie to you. They get you hooked on promises of prosperity, but they deliver desperation and devastation economically and socially. They're liars, and that's spreading like wildfire here in the United States. But the Cuban country, the Cubans are hungry for freedom, and the people down in Florida and Little Havana are cheering them on through phone calls or whatever, saying, look, you need to rise up. And I think that's going to happen pretty soon. People cannot live in 20 hours of darkness each and every day because they don't have enough electricity, enough fuel to run the generators so that they can cook food and everything else. It's going to come to a head, and that's why Marco Rubio is negotiating with the grandson. The current puppet president, and that's what he is because Raul Castro is still calling the shots there in Cuba, is saying, okay, fine, we'll negotiate certain freedoms, but not everything. We will release political prisoners, which they've had some 2,000 in the prisons just simply because they want free speech. So they're saying, we'll give you a token release of 2,000 people. how many are actually in the prisons, how many actually have they murdered. And all you idiot college students that are wearing shirts of Che Rivera, the serial mass murder, should be ashamed of yourself. And if you're too stupid to understand what that is, saying I support the communist socialist ideology, you're an idiot. You really are. Just ask the people in New York how that's working out, who voted for Mamdani. He's a liar and a thief and a corrupt politician, just like his cabinet is, and you get what you voted for, as long as you can vote. Once the socialists get in, which they already are, your vote suddenly goes away. Your word doesn't matter. It's corruption, and they take from you everything you have, and that's why people are fleeing New York in droves, and that's why people are fleeing California. LA County's losing 1 million people because they're idiots and they voted for that. So now they're going to spread that cancer to other states and say, well, it didn't work in California and New York, but maybe it'll work in Ohio, Idaho, Wyoming, wherever, and bring that same ideology and say, let's see if we can find a way to make it work. When I want Cuba to become a free nation, I don't want that communist ideology to spread to Florida, Louisiana, Mississippi. No, I don't want it. I reject that. And I reject that out of hand for our nation as a whole. There is no place for communism here in the United States. There's no place for socialism here in the United States, and I reject that out of hand. And anybody that pushes that, any politician that pushes that, needs to be removed from office. But in the meantime, we have to be very careful with Cuba to make sure we don't have another Muriel boat lift. We want to make sure that the people that take charge of Cuba institute a democracy, a republic, some place where people can thrive, have a right to free speech, have a right to learn, have a right for medical, and live freely, and have that island become a prosperous nation, and see where it goes from there, and spread democracy and freedom to other South American countries that are currently suffering from socialism and communism spread by these people. In the meantime, I wouldn't allow Castro to flee to the Soviet Union with millions of dollars. He can flee with the clothes he has on his back and take everyone with him with what they have for the crimes against humanity that they've committed. And that's my take on it. But that's something to watch. Cuba is going to fall very quickly. And I would not be opposed for the United States to do like they've done with Puerto Rico or anything else, make it a protectorate of the United States and assume that responsibility to grow that nation responsibly and not allow communism and socialism to take root in that ever again. That's just my take. Thank you so much for liking and subscribing to Area Shores Prepping. Keep an eye on it. Greg out.